I learned something interesting recently about ID attributes in HTML, and I want to share with you. This may or may not change how you currently write code, but still interesting to know. So I have this form here, name, email, message, and you can submit the form. I have the form with an ID of contact form. I also have an element here which is form submitted, which should show after you submit the form. You can see that logic in my JavaScript here, submit form, and you show the form submitted. So now when I come here, fill this form, and I press send message, we have this here. Now to get this form, I do document.get element by ID contact form, and the same thing for form submitted. But do you know that I actually don't need to do this? I can comment both parts here. The ID for this is contact form, right? I can use contact form directly here, and the ID for this is form submitted, and I can use it directly here. If I come here and refresh, fill the form, send message, still works as expected. How is this happening? Well, when you use the ID attributes for HTML elements, these ID attributes are added to the global scope in JavaScript. It's actually added to the window property. So if I come here and I say window.contactForm, window.form submitted, when I refresh, you can see we actually have the contact form elements, and here we have the form submitted element. So in this window object, we have references to DOM element with an ID attribute. It's one of the reasons why your IDs should be unique, because they are identifiers for different elements in the DOM. So now I don't need to call document.get element by ID. This variable is already available, and I can just use that directly. You can either use contact form or window.contactForm. Now let's say here, instead of contact form, we had something like contact form as the ID. In that case, you cannot do contact form like this. That's not the right syntax, but you can do window, and then using the bracket notation to access the property, we can have contact form, and also here contact form. You see, it still works fine for the contact form and for the form submitter, and when I send the message, you see it still shows. But then here comes the question, should you be doing this? Well, no, you shouldn't. Why? Let's say here in our form, for some weird reason, we called this location, but then there is also a location property on your window, right, which allows you to get access to the URL. So now if I come here and I do console.log location, now instead of that to be your location element, it's going to be the original location on the window object, and you cannot override that with an ID from your element. So one reason why you don't want to do this is if you use a value here, and then let's say, I don't know, a new DOM API comes out, and then there is a new value available on your window object, you won't be able to correctly access your form, and you probably would never know this. Some of you users would just be experiencing problems with your application, and then you find out later, oh, this variable is actually coming from the window object and not from the form. So that's one reason why you don't want to do this. So instead, you would want to do const location element equals document.get element by ID, and then you have location. And now if we should do console log location element and we refresh, now we actually get the location element. So it might be that you're using location, or you're using a separate other reserved variable or reserved identifier. You won't be getting access to your element. Instead, you'll be getting access to the reserved value for that identifier. Now, another thing all of this shows you is that you should only use IDs when you actually need them. This is why when it comes to styling, you should use classes for your stylings instead of using IDs, because the too many IDs you have, the too many variables you have in your global space or on the window object, and this may not really be a disadvantage to memory. I don't think having 1000 IDs is going to affect your memory in a significant way, but it's also one thing you want to think of. Even when it comes to debugging, let's say you had a problem with this location, or as we previously had, you had a problem with this contact form ID because of the way you're using it in JavaScript. Trying to track that might also be difficult because you're looking for contact form as a variable and you never see it anywhere in your code, but you're having a bug with contact form, and then maybe at some point you realize, oh, contact form is coming from the HTML. So instead of using contact form like this, you use document.get element by ID. Well, all of that said, this was interesting for me to learn, and I hope it was something new for you to learn too. Who knows, you'll probably be asked something like this in an interview. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share others, subscribe. I like sharing all of these interesting things about the web on my channel.